The Man Who Was Death is episode 1 of season 1, original air date June 10th, 1989. Being that this is the very first episode, the Crypt Keeper actually has a different voice than what we'd come to know. Instead of his lively, pun-filled self, he's very low-key, almost in a hushed state.
All those cute little maggots.
So don't expect the cackling ghoul that we all know and love. In this first episode, The Man Who Was Death, Niles Talbot, executioner, has a seemingly innocent joy in executing prisoners. But after the death penalty is abolished in his state, he loses his job. From the very beginning, you can tell that he really believes that death is all around us at all times, and he seems to have a vigilante-type mindset.
I ain't here for your money. I find you both guilty of the murder of your former wife, Mr. Carney.
And as cliche as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. In this case, the whole episode revolves around cycles and systems and how taking control can actually bring new problems because there's so many new variables that are brought into your world. The more Niles goes on about what he thinks is wrong, the more he seems like he doesn't actually believe what he says. Instead, he enjoys the power, being able to take control of some aspect of death itself. But after being caught and tried like the criminals that he hates, the cycle of death repeats.
Since you're such a staunch supporter of capital punishment, you'll be glad to know the state legislature has just reinstated the death penalty.
He's faced with the same cold indifference that he showed the men that he had executed before.
My job. That's why I did it, because it's my job.
William Sadler is fantastic and puts on a great performance, and it's very fitting that he's in the first episode of the show and also in the first film, Demon Knight. It's a very strong start, and the strength of an anthology show can also be its detriment, which is its own versatility, showing off a wide range of different types of stories and different types of tones to these stories. This one just happens to have the philosophical ramifications of dealing with life and death. And boobies. It's pretty strong and ambitious for a first episode, and I rate this a 6.8 out of 10. And All Through the House, Season 1, Episode 2, original air date, June 10th, 1989. So the first thing you may notice is that the Crypt Keeper wearing a Santa mask is the scariest goddamn thing in the universe and should never be seen by human eyes again. Look at it. On a quiet, snowy evening, Elizabeth kills her husband to obtain his money. She has a dude on the side and a daughter to take care of, and her plan seems to be working perfectly. While attempting to get rid of her husband Joseph's body, he jump scares the shit out of her. Unfortunately for old Liz, she didn't hear the emergency radio broadcast. The broadcast was a warning saying that an escaped mental patient had stolen a Santa Claus suit from one of his victims and was continuing his spree of murder. He attacks poor Liz while she's still trying to dispose of Joseph's body. After realizing she can't call for help, what with all the murder going on, she continues to battle the mental Santa, and the cops actually call her back saying that they're sending a patrol her way. Now, instead of waiting for them to arrive, she sees this as an opportunity to frame the Psycho Santa for Joseph's murder.
Yes! Yes! He killed my husband!
After being locked in and out of things and a bit of a scuffle, her daughter actually wakes up to hear Santa, but really, it's old Saint Dick. And really, the whole thing is a setup just to show you that excellent scene and the madness of it all, culminating in a scream. A scream that goes on for quite a bit, but a good scream. There's just something about this episode that really gives you the sense of being isolated and trapped in a place with a psycho on the loose. And it's that kind of craftsmanship placed into the cinematography that shows that they really thought there was something here and that there's really not a whole lot that happens, but it makes you feel as if you're going through this journey. And that's a thing that you can see in some short stories, especially in this anthology, of the ones that work and the ones that don't work as well. Not necessarily that they're bad, but you can see that this was a concept that they had envisioned, and they brought that vision to the screen. And the story really goes to show that selfishness and impulsive actions can actually cause you to lose everything, especially when you think that you're ahead. I rate this episode a 7 out of 10. Probably the best of the first season, and I highly recommend you check this one out. Dig That Cat. He's real gone. Season 1, Episode 3. Original air date, June 10th, 1989. Before discovering the Matrix, Ulrich the Undying gets a brain graft of a cat's brain onto his own, thus giving him 9 lives. As you do. Ulrich and everyone around him are a bunch of greedy assholes, and they use his various deaths to make some mad bank.
Dying for dollars could have been a popular game show.
The real strength here is that all the actors give very charismatic, over-the-top performances. It's a strength similar to the first episode.
Speed up.
Of course, the similarity ends when you realize that the over-the-top, charismatic performances are then paired with a frantic, psychotic style of editing.
Macho man. The puppet iron, I see, huh? Oh, yeah, yes, we do take credit cards. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow, some things you just can't unsee. But it is very funny in some parts, and it's funny despite the fucked up shit that it's actually about.
Corley, pull left.
Well,
There's not much riding upstairs, but downstairs, what's counting?
Corley, pull left.
I don't want to do it. I don't want.
Although again, comparing it to the first episode, this one's a bit more lively. And it creates a setup for a twist that you know is coming, but it's still a good twist, especially if you were paying attention.
He's dying shit!
I rate this episode a 6.7 out of 10. Only Sin Deep, Season 1, Episode 4. Original air date, June 14th, 1989. Sylvia Vane is living a rough life as a prostitute on the streets. All she really wants is that pretty woman treatment.
Dream on, honey, because ain't nobody invited you. What she got that I ain't got?
So how does she get it? Well, she goes and shoots a pimp, and after shooting him, she takes all the stuff, goes to a pawn shop, and meets a man who knows a bit of magic. How does he know this magic? Well, he's trying to resurrect his dead wife. It's an oddly specific magic, wife resurrection magic. I don't know what else to say about it, really.
You look just like you did before. Like the day we were married.
So Sylvia and the magic man make a deal. He pays her for her beauty.
Talking about your beauty.
My beauty, silly me, what was I thinking?
She meets up with rich bastard Ronnie Price and lives that life. But after some time passes, she begins to age rapidly in the face.
Well, you're under a great deal of stress.
Oh, you figured that out. Look at me. 48 hours ago, I could have had any man I wanted. Now I can't even get arrested. I'm 21 years old.
She's pissed, freaks out, grabs the gat, and caps Ronnie like 12 times. Now, he probably deserved it, but Jesus, that was a little bit uncalled for. Damn. R.I.P. Ronnie. Just kidding, fuck that guy. It's really a weak episode that once again shows how greed and impulsive actions can make the main character lose everything. The only highlights being the dramatic shooting of Ronnie and what Sylvia's friend says to her at the end.
Why don't you watch where you going? You old, ugly, trifling bitch.
Oh, my God!
There's just not a whole lot to say about this episode, and really that's the downfall, as I mentioned before, of any kind of anthology show, is that by being able to do any type of story, sometimes a concept that might be alright falls a little flat. Or in this case, falls dead. Dead like Ron, who gets shot 12 times. So unfortunately, I rate this episode a 3.8 out of 10, and really, I would say to skip this one unless you absolutely want to see the shooting, which sounds a lot worse than it is, and that ending shot. Lover Come Hack to Me, Season 1, Episode 5. Original air date, June 21st, 1989. Timid Peggy has just married Charles Douchebag McGee. That's not his actual name, it's just what I call him.
Peggy, you'll live to regret this day.
Please, don't spoil my happiness, Auntie.
Peggy!
Now he's only done this because he wants to inherit Peggy's family fortune.
You don't love her. You love the fortune that her mother left her. I've been protecting Peggy for 20 years from people like you. You can't make me leave that house. I was born there.
Well, I guess you just have to find someplace else to die.
While on the way to their honeymoon, they encounter a severe thunderstorm. A fallen tree branch has blocked their path, so they have to stay in this spooky-ass mansion.
Resident Evil.
Despite this though, Peggy's only concern seems to be making sure that the night is perfect. All the while, Charles continues to play along, but the whole time a lot of little things seem oddly planned out. Later on in the evening, after some hilarious and very awkward sexing up, Peggy states that they have conceived a child. Charles entertains the idea and drifts off into slumber.
And she's only this big.
It was perfect.
However, when he wakes up, he sees Peggy and another man getting jiggy with it, as the kids don't say anymore.
Where's the axe?
Wake up, darling. Wake up. Wake up!
However, this phantom Peggy then murders the man with a battle axe.
Oh my God!
Charles then wakes up revealing that it was just a nightmare. However, soon after, it all comes to a bloody end. It's a simple story of not really knowing a person, their intentions, or what they're actually capable of. Amanda Plummer does a great job showing off the different facets of Peggy, and she makes great use of her time on screen. Overall, this episode is just okay. Not too bad, not too good. But I rated this one a little bit higher because it does leave you with some lingering questions. Has her family done this strange cycle of murder and birth for centuries? For thousands of years? Who knows? Is there something supernatural at play? Are there actual ghosts involved? Was there a psychic premonition involved? And it's because of those questions that it adds another layer to the story. And now, because I'm a professional and we're 4 episodes in, my rating system is as such. 10 is a perfect episode. 5 is just okay. It's completely in the middle, as it should be. And if I rate something a 1, that means it's absolute trash. So overall, the episode is worth a watch, and I rate it a 4.8 out of 10. Collection completed. Season 1, Episode 6. Original air date, June 28th, 1989. The episode opens with a man named Jonas who's been forced to retire after
47 goddamn years.
He returns home to his sweet wife Anita, who's had to keep herself company these 47 years with a bunch of animals, cats, dogs, and a variety of other critters.
I'm so sorry, but Daddy's called the party off.
But because Jonas has been stuck in a cycle of working his entire life away, their marriage sucks. He's become cold and callous to everyone and everything around him. But despite this, Anita isn't exactly helpless. She does roast his ass.
You named this dog Jonas?
I'm sorry. Well, he reminded me of you.
Jonas, when we get back home, Anita better make us Jonas, I got your 6. You got mine, right? Jonas, get down.
But now that he has free time and they're around each other so often, they actually get in each other's way. And this is partly because she's always been full of love and needed to have that love reciprocated. That's why she has all the animals. Animals which only annoy Jonas. Eventually Jonas takes up a new hobby though, taxidermy. And you can kind of see where this goes. Jonas has lost his shit and is out of his goddamn mind. He's killing Anita's animals.
How could you do this?
Until all she seems to have left is her kitty, Mew Mew. So she takes drastic measures to make sure that the kitty is safe. And as you might be able to tell even from my description, this episode is a bit of a mess. It goes from lighthearted and goofy to mean and disturbing in like an instant. I mean, look at that. I don't even want to know what he's thinking. Do you? And therein lies the problem with this episode. It's kind of sad and mean-spirited and yet still goofy at times, as I said before, and that tonal whiplash really shows that there's no direction to the story. It's kind of a you get what you deserve, but the tone switch is so abrupt that it just makes it a very uncomfortable watch. It doesn't have enough charm to make it charming, but it doesn't have enough horror to make it more horror. So I give this a generous 3.2 out of 10, and you can definitely skip this episode.